the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Cowork 591 Studios. We are the Bohemian Reformation. This is the Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. I am Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for December 23rd, 2024.
Yes.
We're actually at Winding Creek in southern Jesup.
Southeastern, probably.
Southeastern Jesup.
Central southeastern Jesup.
Yes.
We're so big, we have to have sections like that, so people don't get lost.
Did you take the subway over here, Dale?
Yes, I did. But
Did you?
I had to dig it as I went along because...
I took Uber over.
Did you really?
I did.
Okay.
I took Uber.
All right.
I've been getting deals all month long from Uber. So.
Well, I'm glad for you.
Yeah, thank you. Tonight we're sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. The Farrells are kind sponsors of this podcast, and they make sure that our podcast is on the air every week, and we want to thank them for it and wish them a Merry Christmas. We're going to talk a little bit about Pete Hegseth and how he came from the fires of hell.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about a show called A Man on the Inside with Cheers star Ted Danson.
Okay.
And we're going to look at how there's too much fundraising in schools.
Yeah, there's a lot anymore.
Yeah. And then we're going to look at the drones, those unidentified flying objects that in the eastern part of the United States, and talk about what they really are.
Yeah. I have to tell you, though, our last podcast, my son-in-law sent me a note, and he said that he was on his way to Minnesota with my granddaughter for medical checkups, and he said he would listen to the podcast in the car, and he found the conversation really quite stimulating and everything, but it put his daughter to sleep. And he says, she never sleeps in the car. So I said, oh. so we got a little bit of good and a little bit of bad there. So.
There you go. We're also going to talk about Jesup News. I see Dale's got a pile of it over there.
Well, the pile's pretty small because it's this end of December. There's not much going on. But we got a few things.
And we're going to give you the weekly update at Steve Brown Art Center. And remember that Steve Brown Art Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while building the skills around them. The long-term version. Our vision is to house rural artists in residency program for professional and emerging artists in all areas of the arts and humanities. Artists will be offered accommodations and studio space in exchange for a contribution of labor and maintenance of the buildings and grounds. Another sponsor who's been with us since the beginning is Derek's Repair, located on the west side of Jesup in the western neighborhood. Make sure that you stop in and talk to Derek. He has also supported the Arts Center in many ways. So Dale, let's start with Pete Hegseth.
Okay.
For our listeners, if you don't know who Pete Hegseth is, he is President Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense.
Right.
And he was being charged, or he was being not necessarily charged.
He was accused, I think.
Accused of abusing women. He was being accused of not necessarily misappropriating funds, but misusing funds for an organization he worked for. He said that he did not want women in combat. And
several have accused him of having a drinking problem also.
They have.
That he was so inebriated they had to carry him from meetings and this sort of thing. And he has pledged not to drink while he's Secretary of Defense.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, he has said he won't take one drop, and so he'll be the only guy in the armed forces that doesn't drink.
Yeah. He was probably dead in the water. As far as his nomination, and after Matt Gaetz sort of run out of his nomination, many of the supporters did not want Trump to lose another nominee.
Yeah.
And so
Whether or not he's qualified, right?
Whether or not he's qualified.
Yeah, appearance. Yeah.
He turned the nominee, so they had Mega sick the people that were going to vote against him, and one of those nominees one of those people that were going to vote against him.
Joni Ernst, I bet you're going to say, yeah.
The senator from Iowa.
Yeah. I was thinking about the same thing today that you're talking about now.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, and they, MAGA, M-A-G-A, the Make America Great Again, that group, and that's a large number. They got Mr. Trump elected, President Trump elected. They turned the heat on Joni Ernst and said, if you don't vote for him or support his nomination, we will put someone up against you in the primary.
Yeah.
And that's got to be hard. Joni Ernst is a veteran in combat. She is a rape victim. She's come out and said that. And now after being I can't think of a better word of it, but harassed by a large group of people, she's changed her mind. A lot of people claim she got something or was given something by Bannon and President Trump and that group, J.D. Vance.
Okay.
One argument is that she may be the next in line to be president.
I had not heard any of that. So,
So, what have you heard, Dale?
well, just that they were after her and threatening her with putting somebody up against her and this sort of thing. I had not heard that she was promised anything for her vote.
And
She's on the Armed Forces Committee that will be interviewing him, and so that will tell the tale right there is what kind of questions they put up to this man, and what his answers are, if they believe him, and if they think that he will do the job or not. The Armed Forces Committee and actually Secretary of Defense is such an important position, and so many people's actual lives depend on decisions you make, that I think you really have to look beyond yourself. You have to vote your conscience. Can this guy really do the job, or should we? If I put him in for my own sake and not for the country's sake, I'm doing a great disservice. And so I'm hoping that they will look at him very carefully, because it's just there's too many things out there that are sticking to this guy, and so I don't know what she'll do.
It is she's changed her verbiage.
And she hasn't said I'm going to do this or this, but she's changed the way she talks about him. I think that's what you're saying, right? Yeah. And not a little bit more mellow or more taking things in stride and
more accepting.
Yeah, more accepting. Yeah. And
They need every vote that the Republicans have on their side, and I forget the senator, but she is also a combat veteran that lost two legs and an arm.
Yeah.
And
she's from the Dakotas, or am I thinking? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I can't. I can't remember either. But she's going to go after him.
Yeah.
And she's gonna ask him, have you run, she was a lieutenant colonel, he was a major, so he's been responsible for about 40 people at one time. Can he handle a business with 1 million people in it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably got to be more than 1 million.
Yeah.
Huge, because there's more than 1 million in the Army, I believe, and they got all those Pentagon employees and the civilian employees, and all those people will be managed by policies that come out of his office. He does not have that kind of experience. That's a huge undertaking.
A million plus people and $1 billion, billions of dollars.
Yeah.
That the number one place where we spend our tax dollars.
Yeah. The Defense Department has not been able to come up with a clean audit in several years. They cannot account for all the money they've been given to spend, and as you can imagine, that's one of the main things a Republican Senate is they want to see where the money is going and what's happening to it, which, is their right, I think, a good thing.
Right, right.
But that should not be the only thing as far as we're going to get a manager in there that can account for every dollar. Well, how they spent the dollars is very important too, or how they will spend the dollars. And I think you have to look at that also.
Yeah, you have to look at that. Yeah, you have President Trump, who has what's his name, Vasaswamy, and Tesla's man.
Yeah, I know. There's everybody he nominates has something going. Well, yeah, he's been accused of this, or he's done this, or he's done, and there's got to be somebody out there with a clean record that'll work with him, but apparently not. So
well, and those guys are watching. They're going to start watching every nickel and dime. Then they're going to start watching every nickel and dime, and they're going to say, they're going to say, well, where was this money? What's the likelihood that he is accepted, Dale?
Well, the track record of this is the Supreme Court people they put in and other high-ranking officials. I guess I think he's probably going to make it.
Right.
Is my opinion. But depends how. And if Joni Ernst has enough courage to see some flaws in this man and this other lady also, and then I just got to get another one, And so. No, I looked at. I remember this, and I went to find this from Mahatma Gandhi. It says, in matters of conscience, the law of majority has no place. So even though you're getting stuck with a majority voter, if your conscience tells you shouldn't go along with the majority, then you need to stick with your conscience. And I'm hoping that's what Joni Ernst will do.
Right, right. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too. Well, several of our guests are arriving right now, so.
We want to get going with it so we can get back to our room.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Wow.
You must have a nice room if you can't bear to be away from it for 10 minutes. So, well, I'm glad for you. That's
good.
Great.
Good.
That's great.
Well, why don't we start here? Why don't we start here with Kenny and?
What are you going to ask?
What would you like us to ask? I got some secret questions here that are so hard, people will cry.
Some questions that they gave us to ask you. What advice will you give younger people? Something you wish you knew when you were younger. Your favorite movie. Some type of story that you'd like to tell. Your favorite job that you held.
What was it like to vote for Abraham Lincoln?
Well, hey. No. First off, what's your name?
My name?
Yes.
Georgia.
Georgia what?
Yant.
Georgia Yant.
Okay. My first job, I worked I was 18, just out of high school, and I worked at a Waterloo Laundry in the office, I thought.
Uh-huh.
And I was working, and pretty soon he had me in their back room working on the clothes to be clean. And I got up enough nerve and I said, well, I thought I was hired to work in the office. He said, you'll work wherever I put you.
Tough boss, right? Now, do they have any men back there washing the clothes?
Oh, yeah.
Were they some? Okay.
I didn't stay there very long.
I don't blame you.
I moved up.
Yeah. So where did you went to the office or did you get another job?
Quit.
Uh-huh.
I got a job at Montgomery Ward in the office.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That was coming up.
So this is Steve Brown Arts Center, and we're lucky enough to be at Winding Creek tonight with several of the residents, and they are sharing some of their experiences with us. Why don't we go around the table? So and everybody give your name if you would. We'll start with you, Kenny.
Ken Mielhout.
Wilma Frost.
Wilma Frost. Thank you.
I'm Mary Jean Tecklenburg, and I'm from Bulleport City.
Okay.
Welcome.
And I've been here slightly over 2 years.
2 years.
Ellie Bazinski, and I'm from Fairbank.
Okay.
Welcome, Mrs. Bazinski. Georgia shared about having a job at Waterloo Laundry. Was that Varsity Cleaners? Is Varsity Cleaners now, is that the same place?
No.
On 11th Street was okay.
Okay. Where was that located?
Still there, a big building, and on the west side, and I can't think just where it was, but it was quite a large building at that time. There was more businesses in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it like hot?
Yeah.
Was it hot in the laundry?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Well, your hair's all frizzy. I wonder maybe it's really hot.
Dale, you need to know better than to attack a woman's hair, man.
I'm not afraid of Georgia. So the rest of them I am. I've known her too long, haven't I?
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
yeah, okay.
All right. Kenny, what was your first job ever?
Assembling egg crates
And where was that at?
here.
Okay.
Yeah, K&B Egg Company. That's when they'd go out and collect the eggs, and then we put assemble 120 of them every day. And then, except for Saturdays, we'd spend twice as much because the little chickens still laid the same eggs on Sunday, whether it worked or not.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I did that for quite a few years, and that until I got old enough to get a different job.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
The,
but I made money.
that,
There was 3 of us that did it.
So you were
different jobs.
in school yet at that time, or were you out of school, or?
No, I was 11 years old.
Okay, so pretty young.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's-
What was your first job after out of school? Like your first kind of adult job?
Worked at Deers because I was waiting to get in an apprenticeship
Uh-huh.
school, and so they took me down the back way and said, "Give this guy a job. He's waiting to get in the apprenticeship school." And the next day I started. I worked out in the shop.
Uh-huh.
and how many years were you at Deers then?
53.
53 years. Wow. So what was your first job then?
Well, first of all, I worked at the Strand Theater as an usher.
Where was that at?
That was over on Franklin Street,
Okay.
right across from Lincoln Park.
Oh, yeah.
I found out that Kresge's downtown had an opening for a cashier, so I went there and my name was Wilma, and all the employees said, "Well, how's Fred today?" Fred Fleet. So I said, "My boyfriend's name is not Fred, it's Ron." So every morning I'd come in there and they'd say, "How's Fred today?" And I said, "It's not Fred." And that was basically my first job.
Okay, and what kind of place was that?
It was a theater.
Oh, it
No,
was the second job.
yeah, it
That was a theater also?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that.
No, Kresge's was a dime store,
Oh, okay.
10-cent dime store.
Okay.
We've come a long way from a 5 and dime to the Dollar
Oh, I
General.
know.
haven't
They
we?
don't have no 5 and dime no more.
Yeah, I grew up with Harrison's and Ben Franklin in my town,
Oh, yeah.
in Cresco. Yeah.
Well, we used to have a Ben Franklin around here too, but it's closed, I think.
Yeah, it was on Kimball Avenue there. in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah. That was a nice store. And we used to shop at Woolworths a lot when I was
Of
growing
course,
up.
my main job that I really liked was daycare.
Okay.
I had about 8 kids in my house at one time, and I had them all down for a nap sometimes.
Is that your best part of the day?
Yeah.
It
For
was.
me to watch some TV or
Yeah.
do whatever I wanted to do without the kids bugging me.
Yeah. When I had kids, when they slept, that's why I slept too. I'll say this. Talk about your first job?
I was born and raised in Keystone, Iowa, down in Benton County. Yeah, we played my boys played a lot of games against Jesup.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a long story, so I'll shorten it. But I always wanted to do something, and I helped my mother a lot when I was just a little girl, because I was the oldest of then 5 daughters coming along.
Sure.
But anyway, when I was in 8th grade, I was asked to work at the small theater in town, and I thought, okay, I had to run the popcorn machine. Anyway, I also then had to make the popcorn, and then at night, when everybody was gone, I would clean that out and wash the window of the door there. And then my job was to clean the whole theater, sweep it and everything. And golly Moses, I worked the 4 nights they were running, and my paycheck was $2 a
Is
week.
that right? $2 a week. And how many hours a day do you think you worked? Did you-
Well, I was there from about, let's see, before the movie started, I was there about an hour early, and then I left an hour late or so
Okay.
through the movie. But when everybody had come in, I got to have a bag of popcorn and watch the movie too from where I was.
Okay, sure.
That's about enough of that.
Yeah. And the $2, did that make a difference in your life, having that
Yeah.
extra money? Isn't that amazing?
That was Depression time.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it meant a lot. And then I saved so much, and then I bought some clothes for myself.
Sure.
Mhm.
And how much was the fee to get into the movie at that time?
It was only, let's see, the popcorn was 5 cents, but the movie was 20.
Yeah.
I'm an old timer.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, aren't we all? Though?
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah.
I know I am.
Well, I didn't really have a first job. When I was growing up, I was babysitting. That's what I did mostly
I did too.
until I went to nurse's training, and then I became a nurse.
Oh, okay. Were you an RN originally?
Yes,
Okay. And where did you work at a hospital or for a doctor?
in a hospital.
Okay. Did you specialize in an area like maternity or?
Well, eventually I specialized in intensive care, but I got MS, and that kind of ended everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how many years were you a nurse, Mrs. Blazinski?
Well, let's see. Some of that I did a paperwork job, but as far as working down the floor, I suppose 22 years, 27 years, somewhere in there.
Where at? In
And I did most of it now. I did some of it Mercy and Oline,
okay.
and then I went to Allen and Waterloo.
You spent most of your life, or all of your life, in the Fairbank area.
Yeah.
Was nursing like you thought it would be, and when you got into it?
Oh yeah, I think so. I liked it.
What was the toughest part of it, do you think?
I don't recall anything being tough. I mean, you did all kinds of things, but you just did them.
Yeah.
Right? That's good to hear.
One more question, you can ask them all, or?
Yeah, we have a few other questions. Did you have a question?
No, I was.
The last question you asked me, I didn't have 53 years in the years. I was 53 years old,
Yeah.
and I had 34 years.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That. Do you have advice? And we can start with Georgia here. Do you have advice that you would give to younger people?
What's my advice?
What's your advice for younger
That you would
people?
give to younger people like me about how to have a successful life? Now, what do you think kids need to know today
Well, I think instead of on these
from machines?
phones and all that, they need to know about people and how to get along with people. That's what I think.
That's a wonderful point.
Because kids are too isolated, aren't they? Too much.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
in many ways.
We knew our neighbors, and our kids played with the neighbors. Now I don't think they do any of that, do they?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's not like it was. It was even when I was a child. So.
Yeah.
You know, I would agree. You know, a lot of people don't have anything to do with their neighbors anymore, do they? No, that's right. That's right. Mrs. Bazinski, do you have advice that you would give to younger people?
I really don't know, just be honest
That's great advice.
and know God.
Oh, that hits it right on the head.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, mine's about the same, about caring and being responsible for how you do things and everything, and look towards the future, because what you learn in your younger years will carry on then up as you get older.
Well, when you have a job, stick to it. Don't just quit like that. You know, give your employee some time that you're gonna quit, because it's so hard to find people to take your place, you know. And the job market is just terrible, you know. You can't get a job, or they just want one certain job and they want their own hours, and you gotta take the hours that they give you. You know, you can't just be picky and take off when you want. That's how you'll get along in life. You can't get along in life without, you know, having a decent job and letting your employees know, you know, if you're gonna quit, and so you can be honest with them.
There you go. Makes a stronger person, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yes, yes. Kenny, what do you have for advice?
Nothing. I don't want to talk.
All right.
Tell anybody.
There you go. There you go. What can you tell us about Winding Creek? Is there anything that that you'd like to share about Winding Creek?
Well, I think it's a wonderful place to live and to be with other people. You know, if you stay in your home, you're so isolated, and here we're all like a family.
And you're one of the first ones to live here, aren't you? Did you?
I've been here 10 years.
10 years. And how long have it been open?
Me too.
No, Ken was the
Ken was here first? Okay.
It opened in February, and that's when he moved in. I moved in September.
Okay.
Same year.
I was glad that it was in Jesup. I didn't have to end up going to Independence or Waterloo or someplace. And that, you know, my family's here, friends and stuff, and people I know, and it's just more comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. Ladies, would you like to share anything about Winding Creek?
Well, like Georgia says, it's a nice place. You all feel like your company. And I only been here about 4 years, but I can remember when I first came in, people came over and talked to me and introduced me to themselves, you know, and I thought that was so great, and we get to do just about anything we want. I mean, if we don't want to stay in our room, we stay in our room.
Right.
If we don't want to, come out and do whatever you want. And they feed us good, and it's just a nice place to stay.
Well, I'm glad that you feel that way.
Do you remember the first movie that you've ever that you watched? The first movie I can remember was a Laurel and Hardy show.
Okay.
Watching it on television. That's the first movie I can remember. That that would have been in the 1960s.
First movie I remember was Gene Autry,
Oh, sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roy Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh, Gene Autry, I thought he was the greatest.
So that you saw that at the theater? Yeah. And
My mother would take us on Saturday afternoon.
Not really, because we didn't go to movies. I just remember the first thing that I can remember was downstairs in the basement of the school, and they were showing some kind of a thing on safety, and it showed how somebody got hit by a train. I mean, and that just stuck with me.
okay.
Oh, I bet you that would. Yeah.
Any of you
I
remember
was
seeing movies in the
about
park?
6 or 7.
Well, yes, I was born in 1931, so I grew up in the Depression, but I remember one time on a Sunday afternoon, my mother and dad, when I was about 5 years old, I remember that they said to me, "We're going to go up to Vinton so that we can see the Shirley Temple show."
Okay.
But when we got there, there was no room. It was filled, and I went home crying. So that was my story about my first movie, and I've loved them ever since.
No,
Because, yeah, go ahead, that's
I was
fine.
gonna say, I read a thing about Shirley Temple today. She said she was 5 years old when she quit believing in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Because she went to see him and he asked for her autograph.
Yeah. I believe that.
My first movie, my parents didn't go to many movies. They didn't believe in movies and stuff. I got to see Debbie Reynolds and Tammy and the Doctor.
Oh.
And I got to see it how many times, because I like to say I was an usher. And I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
And now, of course, my favorite movie is Sound of Music.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was just on the other night.
Oh, I did too, and I'll never get tired of it.
I know.
I stayed up late
Just
to
love
watch
that
it.
music.
Kenny, do you remember your first movie?
No, not the first one, but I remember Soylent Green. You ever hear that about that movie? Soylent Green, that was, they had it down here at the theater one time, well, it was for the matinee type thing.
Yeah.
And I went down there and here's this movie and it going on and it's weird. It was a weird movie to begin with. Here all these people were standing out front of this place, something to eat and the theater was open. And if you were 65, you waited in line. When the movie was over, they let you in. But they took the people that were in there, they left out, took them out the back way. But the thing is when they took them out the back way, they were executed and killed, and that's what it was. The food was made of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah. That was on one of the movie channels just the other day.
Oh, is that
And
right?
they had some science fiction movies. And
Yeah.
that was one of them they showed.
Yeah.
What was the name of that? Silent Green?
Soylent, S-O-L-Y-O-N, I think, Soylent Green.
Soylent
It's quite a famous movie.
Yeah.
I think Charlton Heston. I think Charlton Heston maybe was in it.
Yeah. It would be, I was like 10 years old when I saw it.
Yeah, well,
Oh, wow.
movie for 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Never forget it.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm going to ask you about a time in history that you may remember. Do you remember when Kennedy was assassinated, where you were? What?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? Jenny, would you like to start with that? Where were you when
I was at a drawing made at work, and they said that he had been killed, assassinated. That's the way I remember it anyway.
So did you go right back to work, or did they stop work for the day?
No, just went back to work.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember where you were?
I was home taking care of little kids. My husband was working and he called me and he said, "Did you just hear about President Kennedy?" And I said, "No," so I turned on the TV right away. And like I say, I was with little kids, so.
Uh-huh. Do you remember, did you cry, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was in the house in the kitchen and I heard that, and I've always remembered about it. But the one that I really remembered too is when I was very young, because the neighbor lady, it was summer, and I was outside and said, "Call your," she came across and the street, and she said, "Oh, tell your mother, tell her to come out. I have to tell her that President Roosevelt died."
Oh, you remember that?
Yeah, because, yeah,
Wow.
I can see it yet.
He was down in Georgia, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, that's right.
You remember where you were when President Kennedy was shot?
Well, I was just in a small house, the first house that we lived in after we got married, and I just remember I was at the refrigerator, I think, or something, but that was about it. I was home alone at that time.
Right.
Yes, I was home, and I remember when he died, and then my kids were in a Catholic school, and they all went to church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember that part of it.
Mm-hmm. What is the what event in history stands out in your mind that is most memorable for you? We can start over here with Georgia. You get the mic in front of you.
Probably when Kennedy was shot.
And Kennedy
That
was shot.
stands out in my mind.
Yeah.
Because it was such a tragedy.
Oh, yeah. It was,
And he was so young. So
The-
I would say that would be the one.
Well, I think maybe 9/11 sticks with me the most. I mean, there's a lot of things that happened, but that's probably the most.
Okay.
there's lots to choose from, isn't there?
Yeah, there are a lot of options.
Well, I'll stay the same about Kennedy, and also when in 1945, I believe it was, when the war ended, and we just rejoiced so much. We just, even as little children.
Yeah.
I tell you, the truth of the matter was, even when I was little one time, I didn't understand all about wars, but when I heard all this, we had two nice neighbor boys, living next door, and they were the age who would be drafted. And I said, please, I pray they don't have to go to war. I can remember that like yesterday.
And were they drafted or not?
One was, but the other one, his health was poor. And they're the ones that started when they got older, but Kenneth and Dale stayed, and Kenneth went on and ended up being up in the air, up in the war, in the sky with the planes.
Right.
But anyway, it was interesting because he and another Keystone young man were drafted at the same time, and they ended up in the same planes. One was a paratrooper and one was a shooter, I guess.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and they started a grocery store then when Kenneth got out of the war or the service, and they were good neighbors to us. And the dad, his name was Ben, and he came over to us and he said to my mother and dad, Kenneth and Della, well, tomorrow's the day. He said, our grocery store that we're starting we're going to take money out of our wallet and put it in the cash register, and away we go. And they were the ones that even bought the theater then later, kept the town going, and now it's not going very well. Thank you.
I think mine was Kennedy too, and 9/11. Those were my
Yeah, I know.
most memorable things that happened.
Yeah, same here
Mine
too.
was 9/11. First you see one plane going in, and then you think, well, that's an accident. And then all of a sudden the second plane goes in, and you think, no, this is war.
Yeah.
That I remember.
Yeah, it became a long war, didn't it? So, is there anyone you'd like to say hi to? Would anyone like to start, or Kenny, you want to start?
Yeah, I'd like to say hi to my great-grandson, Reed. And then I think he's down in Iowa City now.
He is.
Yeah, but I'd like for him to, at least he knows great-grandpa
Okay.
knows him.
That's
Well, I'd like to just say say hello to all my kids and great-grandkids and grandkids. I love you all dearly.
Same with me, Wilma. I'd just like to say, well, here I am, and I want you all to know how much I love you, and you've given me so much loving time in my life, too.
I just want to say that I love all my friends and family, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Well, I always hope that my children wouldn't be just takers, but give back to society, and they have.
Okay. You want them to know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
they did.
Okay.
They did a good job.
All right.
Thank you. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and we're back. We had some wonderful guests from here at Winding
It's very
Creek.
interesting, yeah.
Forgive the sound is blame me as we were limited in technology.
And they were soft-spoken. But it's interesting how they came in very, what are we getting into here? And they became more comfortable as they were here a while and they talked. And so I think they enjoyed the experience. I do. But they came in like, okay, what is this? And so that's the way I was the first time I came here too. What's going on? But they did just a nice job. And so they're very nice people.
They were wonderful. They were wonderful. And right now, we want to thank them again for being on. As hopefully they're listening right now as this is recorded on Wednesday. Before it comes out on Monday. Thank you again, and thank Winding Creek for having us. We are the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and remember, if you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. If you'd like us to come and record a show at your business, don't be afraid to ask. This show was set up by our CAPS associate Macy Masteller, and she and another associate worked alongside the Winding Creek staff to arrange this, and we want to thank them. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus, and I'd like to wish you both gentlemen a Merry Christmas and a
you
Happy
too,
New
Jim.
Year. And thank you for all you do for the Arts Center. You guys are truly one of the leaders for the Arts Centers, or two of the leaders of the Arts Centers, I should say. As always, thanks to Winding Creek and Kelly C. Haas and at Cowick 591 Studios, and thanks to Heartland for allowing us to use their podcast material.
Yep.
Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day, and remember that each day is about a little victories, and this was a victory.
A little victory, yes.